GHRT Rewinds are brought to you by Laughlin and Wolfington Team. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Find out what your home is worth online instantly at LaughlinWolfingtonRealty.com. This is the George Hill Rick Tyler Show. Thank heavens Emma's here. Emma Swift, LCPC with Moving Mountains Mental Health, and her canine companion,
Chloe,
finding their way into Spacious Studio 7A. George, I commend you for your ability to stay straight-faced during sports when Chloe was deciding to sniff parts of you.
and lick you.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of good laughs already. The first laugh was when Chloe decided to lick my hand through the sports. She's probably a Yankee fan, damn it. And then when Emma got her hair caught up in her headphones, that was even funnier.
Well, it is a Friday the 13th.
It is.
Yeah.
Zero Fs.
Zero F's Friday.
Emma Swift, LCPC. We had a discussion this morning. It might be something that you've dealt with at Moving Mountains Mental Health, that social media and its grip that it has on children. And now, what do you have, 42 attorneys general in our nation, including the one here in the state of Maine, writing to Congress and suggesting that the Surgeon General should put a warning about the potential mental health risks of social media. We sent you some of this information in a text message at dark30, and you responded. What do you make of it? Do we need one?
I mean, I don't think it could hurt.
Yep.
I mean, I talk with clients about this all the time. We talk about limiting screen time. We talk about taking breaks from social media. We talk about being very intentional with what you are filtering into your brain at all times. I call it doom scrolling, is what I call it.
We brought that term up this morning in our discussion.
People just doom scroll. And I'm like, why? But you're doom scrolling. And then at the end of it, how do you feel? And most of the time they're like, oh yeah, I don't feel so good. Well, yeah. So be very intentional about what you follow and don't follow on social media, whom you follow and whom you don't. And what content you post and what you choose to engage in on social media. And I have those conversations. I also have looked at people and been like, can we take a little break? Can we just not? Can we take it off our phone? Some people do that. They take Facebook off their phone and only use Facebook when they're either at their computer, which for a lot of us now, we're on our phones more than we're on our computers.
Is it Facebook? Is Facebook the problem?
I mean, so I personally, this is my personal opinion, everybody, I do not like TikTok. Okay, every single one of my clients will come in and be like, Emma, I know you don't like TikTok, but can I show you a TikTok? And I'm like, sure.
Yep.
Because there are some good things on TikTok. I have seen them. But I have also seen the very dark side of TikTok. Like a client coming to me, showing me this horrible video that someone else in her class made about her that she is literally posting out to the entire world to see. Kids getting bullied, kids getting abused, kids getting trafficked. I mean, there's just so many dangerous things that can happen on social media, regardless of the platform.
Can we stay here just for a second, George, on this topic with her?
Absolutely.
Is it okay? Because now I'd like to ask you about, because some people are so busy that they don't know that their kids are doing this or spending time on. They've heard TikTok. What about Snapchat? What about Instagram? What about Discord? Yeah,
I mean, there's just so many of them. It's hard to monitor, I think, what exactly your kid is doing. I've seen all gambits of parents who don't allow kids on social media at all to parents who don't even know if their kids are on social media. I've seen the entire array there. So I think it's about having conversations with your kids to help them make better choices for themselves, and also show by example too. How much are you on social media? How much is that affecting your day to day? I had recently was talking with somebody about they were getting upset about Pokemon Go. It was like Pokemon Go was taking over part of their family's life.
At least it gets you out of the house.
Right.
But George, in case you don't know, Pokemon, a very popular, I see it during, Pokemon, pocket monsters, little animated monsters, and there are thousands of them. Okay,
everywhere.
You're not going to be able to catch them all, kids. Don't even try. And the idea is they used they used
GPS or I don't know.
And then literally you can pick up your phone and you can see
if there's one in front of you somewhere.
Yes. And it's in
the real world, and they'll do raids, and they do parties, and they'll have special Pokemon that are going to appear. When it first came out, it was all of Bangor people were losing their minds about it.
Yes, and they are focused around landmarks as well. So at one point in time, Colin begged me to drive him to the Glenburn town office because we knew that was a place where you could go and there would be a special Pokemon and you could try to catch it. Anyway, it got people moving and actually bumping into each other as they were walking around.
So that is a good thing. Yeah. But then even that I've seen cause, some tension in households because of the fixation on it. It's almost we tend to hyperfixate on certain things.
George, I took Colin once to the University of Maine as we dropped off Ian at something, and I said, Colin, come with me and we'll go walk around in Pokemon Go. And I remember Colin screaming, Dad, this place is crawling with Pokemon!
Well, I can't contribute much to this conversation,
but
except if we start them as little babies, literally on electronic devices, and by the time they're adolescents, 94% of all adolescents either have or own a cell phone, a smartphone,
or a tablet,
which
is basically the same as a phone.
What do we expect as a result?
Yeah, I know.
So we'll put a label on it. Won't do any good. Won't do any harm.
That's kind of my thought. I don't know that people will pay any more attention. That's my question is, what will it say? How often will you see it? And would it actually impact people? Like, would people look at that and be like, oh, or would that just be like the forms that you go to the doctors and they're like, do you want to read the whole thing? And you're like, nah. Like, is it going to be like that?
Like the terms of agreement when you get an upgrade on your phone.
Right. You're like, no.
Yeah, whatever. And then I go to then.
Right. Yeah. It might give me depression, but it's fine. I'm going to scroll.
Okay. It gives us depression. It gives us anxiety. It gives us suicidal tendencies. That's what the reports say. Very difficult question. Are you seeing that?
I think it's hard to pinpoint a direct correlation, Rick, when I quite literally said to George earlier, the world's on fire. But I think, now that I'm saying that out loud, that the more aware we are of how much the world is on fire, that is what impacts our mental health the most. In my opinion, what I see is that it's not necessarily the social media itself. It's what you are looking at on social media and what you are being made aware of, and how often is that spiking that, like, oh, everything's awful, right? And that, I think, is what contributes most to people's mental health.
You just said something critical. She just said something critical to all of us, George, and that is, when you're done spending time on social media, do you actually feel better? And if the answer is no, then maybe you should take a hard look at what you're doing.
The other thing is, there's something called sleep hygiene, and I would argue that most of us, including myself, don't follow it very well.
I'm going to ask you to turn yourself so you're talking into your microphone.
Sorry.
Now you sound deeper and fuller and richer. Right?
Oh, nice. Sleep hygiene is when your bed is basically for sleep. There's no electronics. There's no screens. You're not supposed to have a TV in your bedroom. Ideally, this is based on years of research around sleep hygiene. And that's what they recommend, is that if you struggle particularly with sleep, that you need to get rid of all screens, and even don't lay in bed and scroll, right? And so if you're laying in bed and scrolling, and then that's affecting your sleep, which when we sleep, we know that our brains are resetting for the day, right? So our brain resets, we heal, we process everything that went on during the day so that the next day we can wake up and our bodies can function, right? Yeah, I do it too, George. You don't have to hide. I do it. I do it too. It's awful.
How would I not live without going through the 10th inning last night? He was in bed. I had the game in bed with me.
Yeah. A lot of people do. They watch TV in bed. I do it too. And a lot of people have different reasons for needing to have screens in bed. But at the same time, I also wonder how much that's affecting our mental health.
I remember the first time I took a screen and watched a show in bed. I was like, wow, this is great. And you know what it was? It was the dopamine kick that came in. And today it's like, and I'm not getting what I'm looking for. And then I look over at the clock. I'm confessing that I do it sometimes. And I've lost an hour of sleep.
Yeah.
And I can't afford to lose an hour of sleep.
Right.
And neither can my kids.
Right.
How do we stop it?
Like I said, be more intentional. That's what I tell people. I'm like, acknowledge whether or not there is a problem with how much you are using it, and then be intentional. At the very least, start with weeding stuff out on social media that you don't want to see. I love to post funny stuff on social media. I love to get people to laugh and smile and try to filter out some of the bad with some of this nonsense just to make people smile and laugh, because that's truly like the essence of it, right? We're looking for that little burst of dopamine. Like, oh, that's so cool. Look at that thing. Look how nice that person. Look, oh, that person's wedding was gorgeous. Like, oh my goodness, that person's doing so well. Look at that funny cat meme. That's great. You know, so be intentional about what you're doing, how much you're doing it, and be honest with yourself about how much it's actually affecting your mental health, and go to therapy.
Well, go if you can get there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Don't even.
I know. Yep.
Don't even.
There are people, I will say, there are people that do have openings that are serving people in Maine. I do have some names of people who are actively looking for new clients. So you can find me on Facebook and Moving Mountains Mental Health. I do have actually a website that is linked on my Facebook. I do like to help people find resources, even if it's not me. But
I want the gal that dresses up like a hot dog.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Have you seen Emma dressed in the hot dog suit, George?
Yeah, no. He's not kidding. He's not kidding.
Not kidding. No, I no.
Especially on Zero F's Friday.
Do you guys know why I dress up like a hot dog? Have I ever told you why?
Not.
Oh boy,
really,
I'm sitting down for this one.
The subject has never come up.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
well,
here we go.
So,
do you need the Wayback Machine for this to tell the story?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on a second. You remember it like it was yesterday.
Okay, so picture one of my clients struggling, not having a good time. He struggles with autism, and he's incredibly intelligent, and he did not get into his dream school. Okay, and him and I joke around with each other a lot, and I was trying to think of a way to cheer him up. Okay, and so way back when I worked at Higher Ground, way further back when I worked at Higher Ground, we dressed up randomly to make a calendar for our old bosses. And I was the 4th of July hot dog. And I also was a back to school hot dog. Wow. And so like in my back to school picture, I was dressed up as a hot dog.
As a hot dog.
Yes. And it was great. And then I remembered that and I was like, that needs to make a comeback. And so without telling my client or his parents or anybody, I bought a hot dog costume for $30 on Amazon. And when it showed up, I put it on and I showed up to that client's session dressed as a hot dog to cheer him up. And it worked. So that day I was like, well, why would I limit myself to just one client or one thing? So then I just kind of wore it like all day and just kept randomly walking out to the parking lot dressed up as a hot dog. Showing up to session dressed as a hot dog. And I would tell people, we care way too much what people think. So you might as well dress up as like a hot dog and give them something to look at. And so this is my way of saying, I don't care what people think of me, and I am my best self when I dress up as a hot dog. And so now from time to time, the hot dog needs to make an appearance. The other day I had a client who was terrified to tell her friends that she was struggling with her mental health. And she was like, what if they don't like me? What if they think I'm weird? And I was like, girl, I literally dress up like a hot dog. And she's like, what? And I'm like, oh, you haven't seen this? She's like, and I say, so I, like Superman, go, hold on a second.
I'll be right back.
And I go and I dress up like a hot dog and I come back and she gets laughing. And I'm like, we don't care what people think about us, right? And I'm like, all right, let's go out to the parking lot. And we walk out to the parking lot to go say hi to her mom. Me dressed like a hot dog. And her mom goes, this is totally normal.
GHRT Rewinds are brought to you by Laughlin and Wolfington Team. Your home sold guaranteed realty. Find out what your home is worth online instantly at laughlinwolfingtonrealty.com.